this was 2009 and we were watching the NBA draft, and I told you the best player arguably just got drafted at number 7, you might think I was crazy. But of course we're talking about Steph Curry. You know, the guy who got drafted after 2 point guards. But I just wanted to break down why he's one of the greatest shooters ever, one of the greatest players ever. His argument to which number he'll land on as far as being top 5, it's all subjective. But let's get to it and cover the sports. So first of all, there were many guards drafted before him. I say many guards, but you could say 4 guards sounds like a lot. The most successful being James Harden, of course. You know, he's an MVP winner. Never won a championship, but as far as being an offensive player, he's great. Doesn't play too much defense, but he's the most accomplished player outside of Curry, who got drafted before Curry. You had Johnny Flynn, who also got drafted before Curry, who was great at Syracuse. He did his thing, very athletic. And you got to see the context of the time. You know, back then he was a great player. Like Curry was a good player in college, but he wasn't considered the consensus best player over everyone else. So it was one of those things where it was arguable to who the best guards were at the time. James Harden was good in college. Johnny Flynn was great in college. Steph Curry was great in college. So he was still defining his legacy. In 2009, that is arguable when it kicked off, him leaving Davidson, drafted 7, by the Golden State Warriors. That's when the journey began. Of course, after Monte Ellis was traded to the Bucks, it was Curry's team, and he led them to a better record each year. After the trade, he became the guy, and this was after the ankle injuries. I think he really established himself in 2013 against the Knicks. He bombed on them with 50 points. That was major. That's when people really started seeing him, and he was on everyone's radar. He was on ESPN highlights every week after that type thing. But he led a team to a 73-9 record, which beat out the 72-10 Chicago Bulls of 95, 96 with Michael Jordan, Scottie, Dennis Rodman, Ron Harper, and company. That was a great legendary squad. But Curry with the 73-9 record, with his fellow Splash brother, and Klay Thompson, the defensive anchor, and Draymond Green. They used to have David Lee, a bunch of guys, Harrison Barnes, that contributed. But that 73-9 was revered. It even made KD leave his team. Me personally, I think him seeing such a complete team in the Warriors, that made him want to, of course, jump ship from a great team with the Thunder to the Warriors, which changed the NBA. But that's a whole nother video, a whole nother day. That 73-9 is just an impressive record. It'll never be beaten, or maybe it'll be beaten. You never know with the NBA. It's always evolving as far as the game speed and the scoring, so it may be beaten one day. But just him doing that was just one of the most amazing things at a time where him and Klay were at peak status with the shooting. And he also made it a shooters league. I don't think you could contribute that to anyone more than Curry. Curry, of course, with Lillard and KD, Melo, they contributed, but Curry was really the major cook and head chef in the kitchen when it came to preparing that new wave of players in the style. Before Curry, it was more of a Derrick Rose, John Wall, Tyreek Evans, big guard, layup style of play. It wasn't just strictly shooter based. So I love that he brought that evolution to the game, made it a shooters league, made NBA franchises started drafting shooters and having a different mentality when they were looking for players and who would lead their team. And Curry really kicked that off. So you got to give it hats off to the Curry, number 30. And of course, winning those championships, they had Steve Kerr. KD joined the party. Before they had Steve, they had Mark Jackson, who was a great coach and allowed Curry to explore the court and be the shooter he is today. Just giving him that freedom. A lot of people don't talk about that, but that was major in just letting him just play his style on the court and kind of take it back to those college days where he was on Davidson and just bombing every team in the NCAA tournament. He really was he changed the league, and that was amazing. The 4 championships, the anonymous MVP. He's the only unanimous MVP, sorry about that. The only player to be voted the best player by far that year. It's arguable Shaq could have been a unanimous MVP, or Michael Jordan, or Larry Bird once upon a time. These players could have been unanimous, but Curry has that distinction of being the only one to be the best player by far, quote unquote, being a unanimous MVP. He's the one and only. The 4 championships is major. Outside of him, you just really got a few players. You got Tim Duncan in that championship territory, or 4+ or more. Larry Bird, who's at 3, I think. Magic's at 5. But that's rare territory. 4 championships, you don't come across that often when you're talking about one player accomplishing something for his career. So 4 championships during a time where it's highly offensive. Every team has kind of somewhat a big 3. So Curry's competition, some people say it wasn't the best because you can't play defense, but I still give it to him. He's one of the most magnificent players we've ever seen as far as his range. And I believe it's 2015, 2016, we were shooting from half court against the Thunder, closing out games, bringing it to OT. It was nothing we've ever seen before. That was on like a Pistol Pete level, or a 2K, if 2K was brought to life. If the NBA 2K was brought to life in the form of a player, it would be Steph Curry. So that was one of the most major and exciting sports events when Curry was MVP, leading his team to championships. So exciting, he made KD want to join, and become a freaking Darth Vader and company type of team tandem. But I love that he made it to Shooters League, won 4 championships in the process, and became a unanimous MVP and a multiple-time MVP. That was amazing. So I don't think you can even top that as far as the league we have now outside of LeBron, maybe. Not to forget that he's in the 50-40-90 club, which means he shoots 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw. He's done that a few years, I believe. But the 50-40-90 club is very rare. I think Dirk Nowitzki did it a few times, or Steve Nash, KD. It's a few players, but only great shooters throughout history have that, badge on their Hall of Fame jacket. We know Curry's going to be a Hall of Famer first ballot as soon as he retires. But just him playing with also one of the greatest shooters ever, arguably, in Klay Thompson. It's not even up into an argument. Klay Thompson is one of the greatest scorers. And to have a great teammate like that, who you can't double team Curry every play, because you got a Klay Thompson who can also shoot from long range and is very consistent, which allowed Curry to be his best self. And as a fan, that was the most entertaining basketball we got in a very long time. I think the Warriors, very exciting. Miami Heat with LeBron, even though I wasn't a fan because I'm a Bulls fan, they were destroying us in the playoffs. Very exciting basketball. Right now, Luka and the Mavs, very exciting. The Nuggets, you got the Grizzlies when Ja's healthy. It's a lot of teams that's exciting to watch, but when Curry was lighting up every team, it was magnificent. Even when he beat the Celtics in the finals, or the Warriors beat the Celtics in the finals, when he closed a couple games out, he was just killing them. And to do that in his late 30s, that's a very amazing feat. Not too many players win a championship in their late 30s, obviously leading the team. If you're watching the game, you can see that he's the most vital part. Even when his teammates, aren't doing their best at times, he compensates and makes sure that they win the game. Curry is just a basketball GOAT. I love his style. And just the fact that he's still doing it, and he just won a championship a few years ago, is a very amazing thing. And we'll never see anything like it, I don't think so. The greatest shooter ever, I think so. You can debate, put something in the comments, but let's talk about it. Closing it out, he was a very great teammate. He was always emotional on the court, which made it hard for him to be guarded. And that takes a lot of endurance. I don't know if you've played basketball, but it's up and down. It's similar to soccer. You're always in motion pretty much, unless you're shooting a free throw. Or in soccer, it'd probably be a penalty shot. But you're always in motion as a player. And Curry's the definition of a player always in motion on the court. It's not really times where he's just staying in one spot or waiting for the ball to come to him. He's always active, making sure that the offense is rotating consistently throughout the plays. And that's major, even at the age he is at now. He's not old, but for basketball, you starting at 19, 20, 21, and you're still playing at 34, 35 in that range. It's very amazing, very cool to see. He's a great teammate, very supportive. When Jordan Poole was on the team, he was giving him a lot of jewels and ways he could better his game. So as far as a teammate and a player that on the court, being efficient, being active, being a leader, being someone to follow because they lead by example, he's killing that. And I love that he was able to bounce back And when he played the Thunder in the finals, the conference finals that one year before KD left, that really just, he shined. Klay shined in one of the games. Of course, he closed it out, but Curry really just shined in that era where he was winning those MVPs, shooting half-court shots. It was like a movie, and I don't think we'll ever see it again. I said it before, but I'll say it more. Curry is great, and I still think he has much more in store. So thank you for watching Covering Sports. Like and subscribe if you're into that. We got more content on the way.